Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. This time we're tackling something that's pretty much everywhere online these days. It's AI-generated kids videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those super colorful and catchy videos that seem to just hypnotize kids for hours on end.
Yeah.
We've got a whole bunch of articles, blog posts, and even some pretty intense online discussions to dig into today. So we're going to break down how this AI stuff is being used, what's making so many people worried, and most importantly, what you can actually do about it as a parent or an educator or even just someone who's, curious about all this.
Right.
Let's jump right in.
Yeah. So one of the things that's really fascinating about this whole trend is just how many of these videos there are. It's like an explosion of content, and it's all thanks to these AI tools that are making it so easy for literally anyone to create animations, even if they have no artistic skills whatsoever.
Yeah, it's kind of wild, right? Like you don't need to be a professional animator anymore
Yeah.
to make a cartoon. Like everyone's got their own little animation studio in the pocket now.
Exactly.
But is that a good thing? I mean, is all this AI generated content actually good for kids or is it just a bunch of noise?
That's the big question, isn't it? And to figure that out, we need to understand how these AI tools are actually being used. It's not just about making animation easier, it's about figuring out what keeps kids watching.
You mean like the algorithm, the one that decides which videos get recommended and keeps those autoplay cycles going? I've definitely gotten sucked into that myself.
Exactly. And that's where things start to get a little bit, I don't know, unsettling.
Oh, okay.
Because these AI tools can be used to analyze what kinds of things keep kids glued to the screen, like what colors, what sounds, what kind of characters, and then creators use that data to make videos that are specifically designed to get the most views.
So it's not just random cartoons anymore. It's like there's a formula for grabbing kids' attention, even if what they're watching isn't really teaching them anything.
Right? You could say that. And we actually found this blog post that's aimed at creators, and it basically teaches them how to use these AI tools and the YouTube algorithm to get as many views and make as much money as possible.
Wow.
They even brag about how their methods can help creators go viral.
Huh. That's kind of disturbing. It's like they're treating kids' attention spans like a product to be bought and sold.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of this content is slipping through the cracks. There was this news report from Care 11 that showed how these AI animations are getting past YouTube's filters, which are supposed to protect kids.
Right.
It's like a loophole in the system, and kids are the ones falling through it.
It makes me think about all those times I've seen my niece totally zoned out watching those endless videos of toy unboxing or those cartoon cars that just drive around and around in circles.
Yeah, it's like they're in a trance.
Totally.
It's like giving kids candy for every meal. It might be tasty and fun in the moment, but it's not giving them any real nourishment. And in some cases, it could even be harmful.
Okay, so we've talked about the algorithm and how it's being manipulated, but what are some of the other concerns with these AI-generated videos? Like, what are the specific things that people are worried about?
Well, one of the biggest worries is inappropriate content,
Oh.
because a lot of these AI tools are being used without any real human supervision. It's easier for stuff that's disturbing or even harmful to end up in videos that seem totally innocent at first glance.
Oh, wow. So we're talking about things like violence or bad language or even creepy imagery making its way into kids' videos.
Yeah, unfortunately. And it's not always intentional on the part of the creator. Sometimes these AI tools generate stuff that's unexpected, and if no one's double checking it before it goes online, well, things can slip through.
That's scary.
And then there's the issue of misinformation, too.
Right.
I mean, AI can be used to make videos that look educational, but are actually full of lies or just plain nonsense. And it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real and what's fake, especially for kids who might not have the critical thinking skills to sort it all out.
Yeah, and these videos can be so convincing, It's like that game telephone where the message gets all jumbled up as it's passed along.
Right.
Except in this case, it's an algorithm whispering in your kid's ear.
Exactly.
Wow.
We also can't forget about the emotional impact this kind of content can have on kids. Like, imagine a young child watching something that's confusing or scary or just plain upsetting. It could lead to anxiety, nightmares, all sorts of things.
And the addictive nature of these videos doesn't help either. If kids are spending hours glued to screens just passively absorbing the stuff, it can really affect their development. It's like they're being lulled into this digital daze.
There's this website called Safe Search Kids that warns parents about exactly this. They talk about how AI is being used to exploit kids' preferences and make it harder for them to tell the difference between good content and potentially harmful content.
Okay, so it's pretty clear there's some serious risks here.
Right.
But don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging. In the next part of our deep dive, we're going to talk about solutions. We'll explore what platforms like YouTube can do, what parents can do, and most importantly, how we can help kids become smarter and more discerning consumers of all this digital content. So stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about some of the pretty serious downsides of all these AI-generated kids videos, but let's not just wallow in the negativity. Let's talk about what we can actually do about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's not about, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's about figuring out how to use this technology in a way that actually benefits kids instead of putting them at risk.
Okay, so where do we even begin? Who has
Yeah.
the power to actually make a difference here?
Well, the platforms themselves have a huge role to play. YouTube is where a lot of this content is being hosted, so they really need to step up and take responsibility.
Right, they control the algorithms, they
Yeah.
set the rules, they have the resources to actually monitor all this stuff. So what specifically could they be doing?
Well, for one thing, they need to get serious about content moderation. They need to invest in better tools and more human reviewers to catch inappropriate or misleading content before it even gets posted.
But with so many videos being uploaded every minute, how can they possibly keep up? It just seems like an impossible task.
Well, funny enough, AI might actually be part of the solution here.
Wait, so using AI to fight AI, that's kind of mind-blowing.
Yeah, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it's actually already happening. AI can be trained to analyze videos super quickly, looking for things like, specific images or sounds or even keywords that might suggest there's something problematic. It's like having a digital watchdog that never sleeps.
Oh, okay, so AI could help filter out the bad stuff. But what about promoting the good stuff? Can AI be used to help kids see more of the content that's actually beneficial?
Absolutely. Platforms can tweak their algorithms to give priority to videos that are educational, creative, and encourage critical thinking instead of just the ones that rack up views.
So it's like shifting from how many views can we get to what are kids actually learning?
Exactly. And another important thing is transparency. Platforms need to be upfront about which videos are AI generated so that parents and educators can make informed decisions.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Just give parents the information they need to make the best choices for their kids. Let them know whether something was made by a person or a machine, and then let them decide what they're comfortable with.
Right, transparency is key because right now there's a lot of distrust around all of this AI generated content, and rightfully so.
Okay, so platforms have a lot to do. But even with the best intentions and the best technology, they're not going to catch everything. So what can parents do on their end to protect their kids?
Well, the first thing is just being aware. Parents need to understand how these videos are made, what kinds of tricks are being used to hook kids, and what the potential risks are. Knowledge is power.
So do your research. Don't just assume that anything on YouTube Kids is automatically safe and appropriate.
Exactly. And speaking of YouTube Kids, there are actually parental control tools that can be really helpful. They can help filter out inappropriate content, and you can set limits on screen time. The Safe Search Kids website that we talked about earlier has a ton of great information on all of that.
And beyond all the tech stuff, I think the good old-fashioned approach is still the best. Actually watching what your kids are watching.
Right.
I know it sounds obvious, but it's so easy to just hand them a tablet and tune out ourselves.
Yeah.
But taking the time to sit down with them and actually watch what they're watching can be so valuable.
Yeah. And it's not just about looking for red flags. It's about starting conversations. Ask your kids questions about what they're seeing. What do they like about it? What do they think about it? Do they understand that not everything online is real?
It's about helping them develop critical thinking skills.
Right. And don't be afraid to set limits. Screen time is a huge issue these days, and it's important to make sure it's not taking over other important activities like playing outside reading or just spending time with family.
So it's really a multifaceted approach. Platforms need to take responsibility. Parents need to be informed and engaged, and we need to empower kids to be smart consumers of all this digital stuff.
Absolutely. It's a team effort.
Okay, so we've talked about some practical steps we can take, but I'm also curious about the potential upside of AI in kids' media. Is there a way to actually use this technology for good? Can we harness it to create experiences that are truly enriching and educational for kids?
That's a really good question. Yeah, it's easy to get stuck on all the negative stuff, but it's important to remember that AI is just a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for bad.
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a lot of potential for AI to be used to create really engaging and educational experiences for kids. Experiences that, go beyond just passively watching and actually encourage them to learn and think critically and be creative.
Okay, so what would that look like? Give me some concrete examples.
Well, imagine personalized learning experiences that are tailored to each child's individual needs and interests.
AI could be used to create these adaptive learning platforms that adjust the difficulty and the pace of the content based on how a kid is doing. It could also be used to recommend books, videos, other resources that are aligned with the child's specific interests and learning style.
So instead of just like a one-size-fits-all approach to education, we could have a system that's actually personalized and responsive to each individual kid.
Exactly.
Hmm.
And think about the possibilities for creativity and storytelling. AI could be used to give kids the tools to create their own stories and animations and even games.
Whoa. Like
Yeah.
a kid-friendly version of those AI art generators that are everywhere these days.
Yeah, but imagine tools that are designed specifically for kids with age-appropriate interfaces and safeguards and everything. Tools that really let them use their imaginations and express themselves in new ways.
It's awesome. It sounds like AI could be a really powerful tool for unlocking kids' creative potential.
Right. And we shouldn't forget about the potential for AI to promote social emotional learning, too. You know, AI could be used to create interactive stories that explore things like empathy and kindness and conflict resolution.
Yeah.
It could also be used to create virtual companions or mentors that can provide guidance and support to kids as they're growing up.
That's a really cool idea. Using AI to not just educate kids, but to help them develop emotionally and socially too.
Exactly. And all of this is possible, but it requires, a conscious effort on the part of everyone involved, developers, educators, parents. We all need to be intentional about designing AI-powered experiences that put kids' well-being first, not just profits.
Yeah, it's like we're at a crossroads. We can either let AI take us down this path of mindless consumption and manipulation, or we can use it to create a future where kids are empowered and inspired.
I agree. And I think we have the power to choose. But it takes awareness education and a commitment to putting kids' needs first.
So what does all this mean for you, dear listener? What can you actually do to make a difference?
Well, the first step is just to be informed. We've given you a lot to think about today, and there are tons of resources available online if you want to learn more. The This is HCD article we mentioned earlier is a great place to start. It has links to a bunch of organizations that are working to make online spaces safer and better for kids.
And beyond just being informed, be engaged. Talk to your kids about what they're watching. Ask them questions. Share your concerns. Help them learn how to think critically about what they're seeing.
And if you're a parent or an educator or anyone who works with kids, advocate for change. Support organizations that are pushing for responsible AI development and ethical guidelines for kids' media.
Because at the end of the day, the future of AI and kids' media is up to all of us. We have the power to shape it, but only if we choose to.
That's right. Let's not waste this opportunity. Let's work together to make sure that AI is used to empower and inspire the next generation, not exploit them.
Well said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We hope you found it informative, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit inspiring.
Thanks for listening.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.